On the Caribbean Sea, a happy family is enjoying a vacation together on a yacht. The mother, Julia, jumps into the water for a swim. While trying to relax, she feels something strange. She cannot see anything around her, so she assumes it is her imagination. Seconds later, the feeling returns. Still unable to see anything, she becomes worried and starts swimming back to the yacht. Suddenly, something grabs her leg and she begins screaming for help. Her daughter Cassie cannot hear her because she has headphones on, while her husband Tom and her son Ben are busy fishing. Julia struggles to stay afloat, and her voice weakens as water fills her mouth. Tom realizes he has not seen Julia for a while and searches the yacht until he finally spots her in danger. After calling the kids, Tom steers the yacht closer and jumps into the water. He reaches Julia, holds her steady, and swims back with her. The children help pull them aboard. The family comforts Julia, who does not know what happened and assumes it was a current. That night, the family celebrates Ben's birthday with gifts and cake. Cassie receives a call from her boyfriend and steps outside with a laptop to speak privately. He shows her that huge storm clouds have formed above the city before the video call glitches and freezes. Cassie returns to tell the family, and Tom assumes the signal is weak because they are far from land. They then hear a noise and go outside to see a pod of whales passing by. Tom explains that whales follow the Earth's magnetic field, but storms can disrupt it and lead them toward the coast. Suddenly, the yacht shakes and Ben falls. Tom worries that something may have damaged the vessel and dives to inspect it. After a short search, he resurfaces with a cut on his shoulder. Julia treats the wound while Tom explains that he felt something large behind him and was cut by the propeller when he turned. He also reports heavy damage to the yacht, meaning they must call for help. Julia repeatedly tries the radio while Cassie searches for a signal on her phone without success. Cassie is startled by a strange shape but realizes it is Ben playing a prank with a mask. The yacht eventually stops working and drifts in the open sea. Julia picks up a voice on the radio, but it is only static. Tom says they have enough food and water for 4 days and will have to wait for a passing boat. Suddenly, the radar detects movement nearby and the family hears a strange sound. They rush outside and witness several fiery objects falling from the sky and striking the ocean. One crashes nearby and Tom tries to restart the yacht. Another impact follows, and the family holds on as the vessel shakes. Tom realizes the falling objects are not meteorites but satellites. Smoke begins to rise from the yacht, and Tom confirms the engine is destroyed. The wind intensifies and the family moves inside. The compass begins spinning wildly. The yacht rocks again and Ben falls, injuring himself. Waves crash against the vessel as Tom struggles outside to retrieve life jackets and brings them back. The power suddenly goes out, and Tom quickly restores it at the control panel. When the lights return, Ben notices Julia's nose bleeding. She grows dizzy and Cassie runs to vomit. Tom keeps trying the radio without success. A high-pitched noise fills the air and the wind becomes stronger. Julia struggles to keep the doors shut, but a hatch bursts open and the windows begin to shatter. Tom lights a flare before darkness surrounds them. The next morning, the family wakes in shock to find they survived the storm, though the yacht is heavily damaged. The family steps outside and discovers that the oceans have vanished, leaving the yacht stranded on dry land. They stare across the endless desert in shock before trying to decide what to do. Cassie searches for a signal but finds nothing, while Ben plays with 2 dead crabs nearby. Tom checks the compass and realizes the magnetic poles have reversed, something that has not happened in over 700,000 years. Cassie breaks down when she concludes that her boyfriend is likely dead and runs off to hide, pushing her mother away when she tries to comfort her. Julia and Tom check what supplies survived the crash, while Ben ties his birthday balloons to a rock in hopes of attracting other survivors. Tom tries the radio again and manages to contact a man named Now, the captain of a submarine that is also stranded on land. He confirms that the magnetic pole reversal caused the oceans to retreat and flood the mainland. Communication systems are down and he has not found other survivors. He believes the poles will reverse again soon and the seas could return within a week. He advises the family to climb to higher ground because the return will be violent. His partner died in the crash and the submarine only has room for 3 people. Julia and Tom convince him to save their children, and he gives them his coordinates. Tom estimates it will take 2 or 3 days to reach the submarine and tells the family to rest before leaving in the morning. The next day, as they pack their supplies, Tom sees movement nearby. A limping man with a makeshift harpoon approaches with a barking dog. Tom offers him water, but the stranger suddenly attacks, striking Tom with the bottle and kicking him before stabbing him in the stomach with the harpoon. Tom collapses, and the man cuts his throat. Julia runs toward them, but the stranger turns on her and throws the harpoon, grazing her shoulder. She runs back to the yacht and tells her children to hide. They crawl into the sofa while Julia gives them a flare gun. Then she grabs a knife and hides in the bathroom. The man breaks into the yacht, takes food, and searches the interior before heading toward the bathroom. Julia escapes through a hole in the wall and tries to slip away, but the dog finds her. It tackles her, forcing her to kill it with the knife. Hearing the dog, the man discovers its body and breaks down. Julia uses the distraction to climb back onto the yacht through a broken window, but he finds her and knocks her down. He drags her across the floor, steps on her wrist to make her drop the knife, and begins choking her. Unable to watch any longer, Cassie runs out and fires the flare gun into him. Flames spread through the yacht as the children escape. Julia returns briefly to grab the map with the submarine coordinates in their bags. The family gathers around Tom's body and says goodbye before fleeing as the yacht explodes behind them. Later, they stop near a small waterfall to rest. Cassie wonders if the balloons attracted the attacker, and Ben feels responsible. Julia reassures him that it was not his fault and urges them to keep moving, knowing the stranger is still following them. At a small pond, Ben becomes fascinated by the body of a hammerhead shark lying on the dry ground. While he looks at it, Julia spots the stranger closing in on them again. She immediately tells the children to run, and the family takes off across the sand. They slide down a dune and stumble upon an area covered in toxic waste, forcing them to slow down and carefully move around it. By the time they get past it, the man is no longer in sight. They keep traveling through the desolate terrain, passing dead sea creatures and piles of debris that once lay at the bottom of the ocean. The heat and exhaustion begin to take their toll. Ben starts lagging behind, clearly dehydrated. Julia calls for a rest, only to discover that their water bottle is nearly empty. Cassie admits she may not have sealed it properly. Julia snaps at her in frustration, but Cassie fires back that it might not matter because they may not survive anyway. The argument escalates into shouting before they fall silent and continue walking. Later, they come across a crashed plane. Startled by movement inside, they realize it is only birds. With nowhere else to go, they decide to spend the night inside the wreckage. They share what little food they have left. Julia finds a family photo in Tom's jacket and breaks down quietly. Cassie asks how her parents met, and Julia recounts how Tom was once her patient at the hospital and won her over with flowers and a heartfelt poem. In the middle of the night, Cassie steps outside to relieve herself. The stranger suddenly appears behind her, but Julia rushes in and attacks him with overwhelming rage, stabbing him repeatedly until he collapses. Cassie pulls her mother away and holds her until she calms down. By morning, the body is covered in fleas and bite marks, suggesting scavengers are nearby. As the family leaves, crabs begin crawling out of the man's mouth, confirming something is wrong with the environment. They keep moving across the barren land. While Julia and Cassie check the map, Ben wanders ahead and collapses by a small pond, desperately trying to drink. Julia pulls him back, warning that unknown water could make him sick. The sun grows harsher, and Ben becomes dizzy. When they find a cluster of old chairs, Julia and Cassie use them to build a makeshift shelter. Julia gives Ben a medicine injection, and they decide to rest there for the night. Before dawn, Julia wakes to a strange sound. She steps outside and sees a massive swarm of crabs approaching. She wakes the children and they run as fast as they can. In the distance, they spot a huge cargo ship and head toward it. Inside, they find 3 surviving crew members. One woman wants to help them, but the 2 men refuse and lock themselves inside a container. The crabs close in rapidly, forcing Julia and the kids to climb onto the container. As Julia climbs, the crabs latch onto her leg, nearly dragging her down. Cassie and Ben pull her up just in time. Crabs pour through a hole in the container, overwhelming the crew inside. Gunfire erupts, but there are too many. One by one, the workers are dragged down and killed. Afterward, Julia bandages her leg and collapses from exhaustion. Later, she wakes in the middle of a sandstorm and realizes her children are gone. Panic sets in as she grabs the weapon from the dead woman and searches for them. Hearing her mother calling out, Cassie returns and explains that they had gone to look for help but found no one. They eventually reunite with Ben, who discovers an open shipping container where they can shelter until the sandstorm passes. Inside, Julia cauterizes her wounds using Tom's lighter, enduring the intense pain in silence. When the storm clears, they search nearby containers and find several sealed water bottles, giving them a brief moment of relief. They also recover a radio and a firearm from the bodies of the crew. Julia manages to contact Now through the radio and explains that she has lost the map with his coordinates. Now responds weakly, revealing that his submarine was attacked by aggressive abyssal arthropods, driven mad by the sudden oxygen exposure. He warns them that his instruments show the ocean will return much sooner than expected. They only have a few hours. He fires a flare to guide them, and the family begins moving toward the signal. After a long and exhausting walk, they spot the submarine in the distance, but a massive rock formation blocks their path. As they climb across, the ground begins to tremble. Rocks break loose, and a landslide crashes down between Julia and the kids. She pushes them forward just in time, but ends up trapped on the opposite side behind a wall of debris. Realizing the sea is coming back soon, Julia tells them to go on without her. Cassie refuses at first, arguing desperately, but Julia promises she will find them again. Through tears, Cassie finally pulls Ben away, and they continue toward the submarine. When they reach it, they find now, outside, badly wounded. He tells them there is no saving him and urges them to take the submarine. Realizing there will be an extra seat, Cassie immediately runs back to search for her mother. Meanwhile, Julia sees the swarm of crabs closing in. She fires at them, holding them off as long as she can, but the sheer number becomes overwhelming. At the last moment, Cassie appears at the top of the rock wall and reaches down for her. Julia climbs with her injured leg, barely making it up with her daughter's help. They rush back together. Ben is already on top of the submarine, firing the gun to keep the crabs distracted. The creatures swarm Nao's body and begin devouring it as the family scrambles inside. Julia covers the entrance until she runs out of ammunition, then throws the empty gun and climbs inside. They seal the hatch just as the crabs surround the vessel. Through the portholes, they watch the creatures crawling over the hull. Then the ocean returns. A massive surge of water slams into the submarine, sending it tumbling violently. Inside, the family straps in and holds on as the vessel is thrown through the returning sea. The pressure and chaos overwhelm them, and the high-pitched noise returns, knocking them unconscious. Later, they wake to silence. They slowly open the hatch and step outside to find the submarine resting in the ruins of a submerged city. The sea has settled again. Though the world is still shattered, they are alive. And for the first time since everything began, there is a fragile sense that survival and rebuilding might still be possible. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.